And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. It is 6:48 a.m. in Tbilisi, Georgia, and I'm coming to you live talking about semen retention and becoming a wartime leader. This phrase, wartime leader, I think I got it from the Robert Kiyosaki slash Patrick Bet David live that they had together on Instagram that they put out just a couple of days ago on YouTube. You can go and check it out if you want. But they're talking about some very interesting times that we're living in, and I've mentioned this a few times now in my previous videos. But we know that the financial crisis is impending, okay? And it looks as though governments all over the world, in some ways, they're either following each other, and because they're following each other and are in panic mode, don't know really how to handle the situation, they're following the big ones. But what's really happening, it seems as though, and I'm not for conspiracy theories. I've already told you guys that instead of wasting time with conspiracy theories, you have to be taking action instead, by achieving your dreams and working on yourself and working on your businesses. But I just want to clear this out of to know, not necessarily who has caused it and what's the reason all of it, right? Because we're not private investigators and we're not, FBI agents or whatever it is. But we need to understand what's happening and what's going to happen. And that's what I want to share with you guys today, of my opinions around that and what it has to do with semen retention, of course. So we're in a time where the coronavirus is being used perhaps as a distraction, or as this is the reason why the financial crisis is happening, when it's not the reason the financial crisis is happening. Okay, the financial crisis was already starting and has already been on its way literally for the last 20 years, or in other words, the last 50 years. Because if you look at the Richard Nixon getting off the dollar in 1971 was a really bad idea. Supposed to be temporary. Well, 50 years later, you can look at the exponential growth of the debt. That's on my Instagram at Men of High Value. Follow me there as well if you haven't already, where they're talking about, it's libertarians coming out with this beautiful chart explaining the US debt of America. And they're asking on it, when are they going to flatten this curve? And it started in 1971. Well, actually, it started to be in debt already in 1945 following the war, or 1940 following the war. And then in 1971, it just gets a massive bump because of Nixon taking us off the gold standard. And when you take the dollar off the gold standard, and it's the reserve currency of the world, and it creates massive money printing. And that is what has happened in a lot of other countries as well, because they're following the dollar. And so we're heading into a crisis that we've been heading into for years. And right now, the bubble already was bursting a little bit at the seams already in September last year. That was 3 months before what happened, right? 2-3 months before this virus came upon the world. And it's not really a big deal. Like, the virus is a big deal. Yes, people are dying, and eventually it will end up in the millions, okay? But still, the virus that's going to hit the world in the next few months, maximum 2-3 years, over the course of 2-3 years, is gonna be intense, okay? And more and more and more millions are going to die because of it. And it wasn't the coronavirus that caused it. It was the financial crisis that the governments were trying to use the virus to blame it on, okay? So the lockdowns that are being happening right now in all over the world, some governments might have no idea what's going on, but they're just following the big ones. Or they just simply all don't know what's going on, except for the very rich, Perhaps. Okay, again, I don't know. But what I do know is that these lockdowns are a very, very bad idea. Very bad idea for the majority of people. Now, us as entrepreneurs and business owners, we can actually use this time well by working our brains off, studying and making sure that we're putting in the hours, okay? We're putting in the 8 hours a day. We're putting in the 10 hours a day of building our businesses. And when we talk about building our businesses, I'm talking about preparing ourselves for when the lockdown opens. Okay, you should be in running mode already right now, preparing for the opening of the lockdown. The opportunities are going to be huge if you understand the situation. So I just wanted to make that clear that there's going to be tons of opportunities. And just because there's a financial crisis, that's not necessarily a bad thing for you. You can choose to make this a fantastic time for you. But as a world, as a society, there's going to be a lot of changes. This is going to be what Ray Dalio calls a stress test on the people to find out what are they made of, and to find out are we going to choose to collaborate and work together, or are we going to choose to fight? Because I also have heard on this other channel, Yasana or something like that. He's talking about he owns a farm, and he's talking about how there's a lot of problems with crops, and there's going to be food shortages, etc., etc. Now, we don't know if all of that's going to happen, and yes, we're humans, and we're going to figure this out because we're very adaptable and we figure things out eventually. But we got to be prepared, and that's where semen retention comes in massive way right now. To be wasting your time watching porn and going through the basically the same kind of mud that you've been going through for the last years is going to be very destructive for you, not only short term, but long term, because you didn't make use of this opportunity that's coming in the next 2 to 5 years. There's going to be massive opportunities, and we've got to be ready for it. And if you practice semen retention, you've got to make sure that it starts now if you haven't been doing it already. Okay, it has to start now because it puts you in a non-needy mode. It puts you in a leadership mode. It puts you in a creativity mode. It puts you in the 1% of the population or less. Okay, like there's so few people in the world who are actually doing this. What's up, Big Dreams? And we've got to make sure that we're tapping into it right now. So what's it going to look like when the financial crisis is going to happen, in my opinion? Again, I don't know everything. I actually know very, very little. Okay, I wish I could spend hours more studying the things that I know I need to study, but I'm just sharing my opinions here. The financial crisis right now, in my opinion, the dollar is being lifted up by the fact that whenever there's a financial crisis, all of the investors go to the biggest currencies. So they take their money out of the small currencies and they put them in the big ones, because the small currencies are risky. They have more potential, more risk, and that's why it's more profitable to have their money there. And so they go to safe havens, which is supposedly the dollar because it's a reserve currency. But this dollar is not going to be strong very, very long. And that's because of the massive money printing that's happening. Now, you can say that, well, there's massive money printing in other countries as well, so it won't really matter. It'll still be the reserve currency. Well, if America is printing money 5 times faster, or 10 times faster, or 20 times faster than other countries, how's that going to look like? Now, there's going to be hyperinflation on the US dollar. There will be a hyperinflation on the US dollar. They can't stop it from happening because of the debts. Now, they can default on their debts and all that stuff. So it might look a lot differently, but the dollar itself, I don't believe is going to survive. There's going to be a new world currency. Ray Dalio says that China is going to come in and swoop and be the leader of the world, the new world order, whatever. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. People are not going to follow China because of their communistic beliefs, in my opinion. People are still going to have freedom as the thing that they desire to have in their lives. So they're still going to kind of look towards America, but America is also going to fall. So there's going to be a collapse of two empires and a collapse of basically the world the way we know it. But there's going to be a transfer of wealth from the people from the middle class that's right there, that are in the middle class right now. There's going to be a transfer of wealth from them to the very wealthy, and there's going to be a few poor ones going to make a lot of money. Okay, so this is the opportunity for you to get ahead, to basically get that massive amount of money that's available around the middle class, that's going to not be evaporated. It's going to go somewhere, and that somewhere is going to be for products and services that are new, that are innovative, that are perfect at this moment in time for the next 2 to 5 years. And you who have no money right now, if you're prepared, you can tap into that money. You can make it happen if you start now. Following this crisis, following this collapse, okay, there's going to be food shortages. There's going to be unemployment. There's going to be riots in the streets. There's going to be a lot of issues. And what is it that the people need during this time? Wartime leaders. There's been a shortage of leadership throughout history, okay, but more so today. Like when there's time, okay, I'm not saying that we're going to end up in global war, world war. And why is that? It's because that there's a regime change approximately every 150 to 200 years. America has been that leader now for a very long time, and there's going to be battles between resources, because people are going to need resources to survive. And there's going to be populism even more, because there's going to be a massive divide between those that have and those that do not have. And that's just history. That's just, this cycle is going to happen again and again. And it has happened again and again. But I believe I've got the solution for how to get us out of the next one. But this one is too late. It's too late. And if you guys want to hear what I believe is the solution to get out of that cycle of regime changes and basically the massive financial collapse of markets, then let me know. Let's see. Yes, consider changing your name. That would be fun. Need to focus on my online career during this lockdown. It seems that we know nothing about this virus. What I believe is that I can make things so well on YouTube and online platforms that I won't have to return to my part-time job when it opens. I can be a leader. Fantastic, man. I love to hear it. Understand that YouTube is not a 6-month project. It's not a 1-year project. Actually, I was going to tell you guys, this is my 2-year celebration of YouTube today. 16th of April in 2018, I made my first YouTube video. It was called Effectively Repelling Women. Part 1. And I was explaining my story of basically why I'd been dumped so much in my life, why I had been so feminine, why my wife wasn't attractive to me. That's kind of, I was starting my channel by explaining relationships, because that's my forte, that's my expertise. If you guys don't know this, then check out my Girls of High Value channel. The link is down below in the description. And subscribe there. Okay, we're very close to 200 subscribers on there, and that one I started 1 year ago, pretty much around this date. And it's basically Girls of High Value channel, Men of High Value channel, and I'm gonna eventually bring men and women together who understand relationships, because I've explained it to them, okay, how they can have absolutely blissful relationships and create amazing families and next generations. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So semen retention saved my life. Sweet. Congratulations. Thank you so much, guys. You know that you guys are the ones that made it happen. You might not know this, but after a year of doing my YouTube channel, I had 67 subscribers. Okay, and it wasn't until I tapped into semen retention that my videos got some attention. Which is kind of hilarious. And I don't necessarily recommend that that's your YouTube subject unless you're really passionate about it and you want to talk about it for the rest of your life. But and the reason why is because you get demonetized. Okay, demonetized meaning that no businesses want to have ads on your channels, so you don't get paid for those videos where you mention the word semen retention, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But what are we going to do about the situation? What can we do? Become wartime leaders. Become leaders over the next 2 to 5 years. And there's nothing that's going to prepare you more to be a leader than building a business, than being an entrepreneur, than leading people. You've got to learn how to lead people. Most of us today are simply stuck in our rooms, stuck in our houses, especially during the lockdown. Or we might, especially those that are searching for semen retention videos. Okay, that's just a given. If you've been searching for semen retention videos, you probably have struggled with porn at one point in your life, or at one point in the past few years. And now is the time to make that leap into entrepreneurship, into becoming a capitalist, because you won't be able to learn leadership without it. You won't be able to embrace leadership without it. And you have to do that. It's not enough to be strong and go to jujitsu and work on your ability to fight. You've got to learn the ability to lead, to talk to people, and to persuade them to create a win-win situation with you and close the deal. The reason why is because it's going to teach you confidence. And confidence comes from sales and leadership. And once you understand those things, people follow those that are confident, despite what's happening around them. If you have emotional control, if you're masculine, if you're able to control your emotions and they're stable like this, instead of, oh man, I don't know what's happening and what should we do? I don't know. If you're decisive, you're going to lead people in the coming 2 to 5 years of what's going to happen. And even if the wartime doesn't happen, okay, I hope to goodness that we manage to actually get out of this without causing a World War III. I really hope that we can do it. I wish, okay? But based on history, that's not going to happen. Based on history, there's going to be fights between superpowers because of the shortages, and because of who's going to be the big guy in the world from now on. And they both kind of suck right now, to be honest. I don't like the big government. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. What can we do to get out of the crisis long term? Okay, once you are developing your leadership, once you've established your financial foundation and you've invested in assets that can last throughout wars, that can last throughout time, that can last forever. And the most important asset that you can build is you, right? You becoming a leader, you becoming an entrepreneur, you becoming is the best investment that you can ever make. And that's why you need to start the entrepreneurship and the capitalist and the company that you've been thinking about for a while. Whoa, are we going to war, lol? Yeah, well, you might laugh now, but you're not going to be laughing in 2 to 5 years. It's going to be serious. And they're using right now the virus, whatever. The virus is simply an excuse to keep you locked down long enough so that they can blame it on the virus. Okay? That's the financial crisis situation we're in. The virus is here. The virus is not a problem. Okay? Yes, millions might die, but millions die every year. Okay? To have an extra 1 million or 2 million or 5 million die really doesn't make much difference worldwide to the economy. The lockdowns, however, that creates a huge issue for the economy because of supply chain problems. That's going to lead eventually to war because there's going to be shortages and there's going to be people wanting leaders to go to war. And if they get the approval, then they might just do that. And if they do that, we're going to live in a different kind of world in 10 years from now. That's how it is. And how do we get out of it, though? If you guys want me to share that with you. The way we get out, greetings, Saryoga. The way we get out of this situation are children. This is the way we got into this problem in the first place, okay? Because we're neglecting kids. And when we neglect kids, they grow up to become feminine. Feminine meaning that they're emotionally unstable. When they're emotionally unstable, they combine masculinity with femininity, and it becomes violence. It becomes force. And if people are violent and forceful with each other, then they're going to escalate the situations, etc., until it becomes war. The way we get out of this situation is by coming to the point where men are leaders again and have the standard in their lives that they only date and marry women who want to stay in the home, who do not want to work in the workplace. Why is that? Think about it. Is because children are being neglected in a way by putting them in school, putting them in the government's care. Understand that the government does not really care about your child. The substitute teacher, whatever, who's ever teaching your child and you have no idea, does not really care about your child. Your child is neglected if you put them in school. It's a given. It's going to be neglected at home as well because there's only one mother most of the time. However, that needs to change. But it's still better to have a child at home with the mother, okay, or several children at home with the mother than putting the kids in school. Because in school, they're being taught about socialism. They're being raised on socialism. They're being raised to believe that the government having a lot of power is a good thing. It's not a good thing. Individual responsibility is a good thing. If individual responsibility was the norm, there wouldn't be a problem with this virus lockdown at all, because people would take responsibility. People would retract in their homes if they could, if they had the financial means to do so. And if we didn't have to pay 40 to 50% taxes, okay, if you combine all of the taxes that's in your country, that's probably what it's going to get to. If you didn't have to do that, the economy would be booming, okay? But the government has put themselves in this own situation right now by being in this problem, and now they're forcing people, and they're basically making the problem even worse by printing money. Okay, so they're doing a triple whammy right here. They're basically taxing you. It's insane. And then they tell you to lock down in your home, and in many countries it's being forced, okay? And then thirdly, they're printing money. And the printing of money makes the currency devaluate. So the people that have jobs and savings, their means are being massively eroded. And it's only those people that are investing in and who understand investing that are making lots of money because of the assets prices are massively going up. Okay, but those are going to collapse as well over time. So anyway, I was going through how are we going to get out of this? It's the children. We got to get them back in our homes instead of them being taught by the governments. And we've got to have the standard of having our women take care of in the home. That's how we're going to manage to avoid the next repeated cycle. Because it's monogamy. Understand this. It's monogamy that's the cause of this problem, of this cycle. Okay? Let me explain. I wrote it down in 4 stages yesterday. I was actually really liked it. I don't know. Maybe I should stop the video right now. Maybe I should continue. I don't know, because we've gone a long time, but this is probably the most interesting thing you're going to hear on my channel since I started, okay? And I'm going to make this quickly because my kids need to eat breakfast, you know what I'm saying? The world goes in 4 stages, 4 phases, okay? Just like we have 5 phases of leadership, the world has 4 phases or cycles. And it starts really with poverty, but let's start with riches, okay? Because that's where we are at right now. First generation is riches. When we're rich, this is what's going to happen. Women get a lot of power. This happened in the Roman Empire. This happened in the Greek Empire. This happens in every single empire. Once men become lazy because they're already rich, they don't have anything to fight for. They very often, were poor 1 generation ago, so they want their kids to enjoy life. They want their kids to inherit their money. They want their kids to blah, blah, blah. Understand that when this happens, the fathers, okay, the men who went through the struggle, who went through the poverty, become massively rich and wealthy. And because of that, they're lazy, and they teach their kids laziness because the kids have not seen the poverty that the parents were in. This happens to governments as well. Governments become massively rich, and then basically it's the women get a lot of power. And so they don't want to be left out because they're alone and lonely in the home. They're social creatures. So they don't want to stay in the home. They want to be out there because other women that they know are working and they're making money. And they don't want to be oppressed by their husbands because the husband has all the money in the relationship. So, well, I don't want to be left out, and I don't want my husband to have full power and control over me. So I'm going to go out there and get my own career. That's how women become massively masculine. This is what Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wanted. Okay, that's one of the things that they wanted with socialism, was to get women out in the workforce. We have to make that happen. That's what they wrote in their books. It's insane. They wanted, now they might have done it from a utopian standpoint of, them being idealistic and they were actually trying to be good people. But this is the cycle. This is the problem, that the oppressed, okay, the minorities are trying to become powerful. I'm not against that, okay? Minorities, of course, everyone should have equal opportunity, and women should too, of course. Like I'm about freedom and voluntary, voluntarism. So if women want to be in the workforce, then put them in the workforce. But me as a man, I can have the standard that I don't marry or I don't go into a long-term committed relationship with any woman who wants a career. That's a decision you can make. And that's a decision that all men will eventually have to make in order for us to make sure that this cycle, this wartime cycle, will not happen again in the next 50, 70, 150 years. And that, I believe, will be the end of the world, because there's not going to be an end. We're going to find a solution to this. Okay? They say that the world is going to end. I believe that we're going to save this planet. The wicked will kill the wicked, but those people that are prepared, those people that understand truth, they're going to not have an end. It's going to be a beautiful thing for them because we solved the problem. We had a solution to this issue. And the solution was to get out of monogamy, because monogamy makes women want to go out in the workforce once you get rich. So I was going through the first generation is riches. Second generation is squandering those riches, or in other words, wartime. Because when you squander the riches, you become poor for the first time, and you were rich, you're going to want to keep it. And that's when there's going to be clashes. And when there's clashes, everyone is not focusing on building wealth, but they're focusing on survival. And eventually, someone wins the war. Someone, wants to surrender. So, okay, great, peacetime. Finally, peacetime. And now societies are beginning to build up again because women have been fearful. Women have been in survival mode. They don't want to go out in the workforce when there's wartime going on. And that's when they stay at home and take care of the kids and develop connections with the kids. And eventually, what's happening is that those kids are actually being taken care of. And they're actually getting the worship and the love and the attention from their mother, which they've always wanted. And kids are being homeschooled. And kids are not being put in government schooling. Okay? Even though that might happen sometimes, even during wartime, but there's a lot of people who homeschool as well and make sure that the kids are connected to their parents. And once that happens, it's fantastic. We're building up society again when women are in the home. This is the 50s and 60s. Massive, huge rush in the economy. Building, boom, 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 boom. Suddenly we become wealthy. 70s, 80s. And now we're in 2020. We're richer than we've ever been before in human history. Okay, because of the pie has increased. Boom, boom, boom. But understand that a lot of this pie that is being shared and redistributed is not really real. Money is not real. And what has simply happened has been the inflation of the dollar and the increase of the debt. So it's fake money. It's fake riches, what people have today. If they're in debt, it's fake. But if you've managed to build it without that debt, amazing things are going on. But that's not the present case right now. So that's the poverty cycle. When people are in poverty, that's the 50s and 60s when there was a baby boom. They were happy that the war was over, but they were also building the economy and the women were in the home. That's a fantastic way to build the economy. But eventually, every single time, like I just mentioned, women will want to go into the workforce. Women will want to party. Women will want to sleep around and not care about their families. And we get the situation again. And it cycles again and again. But the cool part is that the cycle goes like this, like it goes up, and then we get into a wartime cycle of crisis, poverty, etc. And then it turns back up. And then it goes into this, and then it goes back up. But you notice that we're becoming richer every single time. So understand that the world is improving, becoming better every single day, every single year, every single decade and century. But we always have to go through this stress test cycle before we begin to understand the truth. And we just simply need to keep these videos, keep these archives, keep the books, and understand history. Because once you understand history and you understand the woman, oh my gosh, everything opens up. And you just like, you see the big picture. I don't always know the short-term picture, but I'm really beginning to get insights on the long-term picture the more I study, because everything just confirms everything that I know. Every time I listen to YouTube videos and listen about history and listen to all those things that are going on, the problem, okay, this is just morning, whatever, nose issues. The problem is monogamy. Monogamy is the problem, but casually sleeping around is what makes the fall happen faster. Monogamy builds up society, but makes sure that we go back to the sleeping around part. That's what collapses society. Homosexuality and sleeping around, that's what collapses society. But monogamy is what causes that to happen. So in order for us to get out of that one, we have to move towards responsible polygyny, where trustworthy men that are massively committed are the ones that actually make things happen. So someone said yesterday or 2 days ago when I did this live stream, and I said 3 Girls in Love was basically the future. He said, oh, but it's illegal in my country, Vietnam. Okay, it's illegal in Norway too. It's illegal in Georgia. It's illegal in USA. How can I promote this? Understand that cohabiting is not illegal, obviously. And that's one of the great things of a feminist society and matriarchy where sleeping around is the norm. Cohabiting is not illegal. And as long as you know that you're committed, You're committed. And you understand the woman. It's not possible for them to leave you. It's not possible for there to be a divorce. And if it's not possible for there to be a divorce, guess what? You'll have a family. And that family is going to last forever because it's a decision to keep that family strong together. It does not require a paper. It does not require a government. It does not require anything. That love relationship that you have with those women and you harmonious relationship, and that's what you can learn on the Girls of High Value channel and on at 3 Girls in Love on Instagram, at 3 Girls in Love, the digit 3. You can learn that. And that can be your motivation while you're being voluntary celibate. Remember, we're all about voluntary celibacy right now. As you build your foundation in these critical years, don't have any sexual relationships outside of this long-term committed 3 Girls in Love future relationship that you're going to have. Seriously, man, I'm fired up for you guys. I'm fired up for the world. Okay, understand that this stress test is just a cycle. It has to happen. There's going to most probably be a war. I'm saying 95%, maybe 80%. Maybe we've learned from the past wars. Maybe that's not going to happen, but I doubt it. So the war is going to happen. You just need to be prepared. Be a wartime leader by simply practicing semen retention and becoming an entrepreneur capitalist. Learn how to lead people. Understand money, understand assets, understand liabilities, and stay away from them, and move towards establishing the true world order. That's where we're going, and it's only going to happen with 3 Girls in Love, in my opinion. This is Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling, and I'll see you in the next one. And make sure, guys, to like this video. Make sure you comment down below. Ask all of your questions. Let's make this video go viral, and I'll see you in the next one.